If you barely use a computer at work, do you need to change how you work for AI? Maybe not. Imagine that your day is spent stocking a warehouse, preparing food in a restaurant kitchen, installing equipment on a job site, or caring for children and older adults. The things you actually work with are tools, deliveries, ingredients, and people. Apart from clocking in or checking your schedule, you may hardly touch a computer. But every time you open your phone, someone tells you that you have to learn AI now, or you'll soon be left behind. Then the examples are all about writing emails, organizing spreadsheets, making presentations, analyzing data, or even writing code, and you're left asking one reasonable question. What does any of this have to do with me? That question makes sense. If your job doesn't involve documents, email, or a computer, AI may not offer much direct help at work right now. You don't need to force AI into every step of your job just to keep up with a trend. A study published in 2025 by the International Labour Organization makes the same point. Generative AI will not affect every occupation equally. Clerical jobs have the highest exposure because so much of the work involves text, information, and computers. The study also suggests that individual tasks are more likely to change than entire jobs are to disappear overnight. So if someone on a job site, in a kitchen, in a warehouse, or in a care setting has not felt an immediate change from AI, that does not mean they are behind. Most AI demonstrations were designed around office work in the first place. But if we stop there and say AI is completely useless whenever a job does not involve a computer, we miss the other half of the question. Life is more than work. Most of the AI stories we hear come from people who spend their day at a computer. Designers say AI helps them develop ideas. Programmers use it to check code. People in sales and administration use it to write emails, summarize meetings, and organize spreadsheets. Those changes are easy to show on a screen and easy to measure in time saved, so they naturally dominate the conversation. Hands-on work is different. A leaking pipe still needs someone to find the leak, remove the damaged part, and install a replacement. In a restaurant, ingredients still have to be prepared, and someone still has to watch the heat. When an older adult needs help standing up, a caregiver has to read their condition and physically support them. AI can offer instructions, but it is not in the room. It has never touched that pipe, that pan, or the person who needs help. If we only ask whether AI can do the entire job, many people will say no. Another reason is that using AI often sounds much more complicated than it needs to be. People think they must learn advanced prompts, understand models, parameters, and workflows, and spend hours studying at a computer. That is not appealing when all you want after work is to rest. Most people do not need to build an AI system. They may have received a letter they do not understand and have no idea what the sender expects. They may need to message a landlord but worry that their English is unclear. They may be comparing two insurance plans and still not understand the difference, or studying for an exam with no one to practice with. These problems belong to no single profession, but they appear in many people's lives. In 2025, OpenAI published a consumer use study based on roughly 1.5 million ChatGPT conversations analyzed with privacy-protecting methods. At the time, about 70% of consumer use was unrelated to work. The most common requests involved practical guidance, finding and understanding information, and writing. The study only looked at ChatGPT users, so it cannot represent everyone, and it does not prove that every conversation was useful. But it does tell us something important. Many people are not opening AI to write software or make a company more efficient. They are trying to deal with small problems in everyday life. So a better question may not be, can I use AI in my job? It may be this: are there things in my life that take too long because I cannot understand them, explain myself clearly, compare the options, or figure out how to begin? If there are, that is where AI may become useful. Even if someone never uses a computer at work, they still live in a society filled with information. Renting brings contracts and notices. Insurance comes with different levels of coverage. A child's school may send forms that need a response. Hospitals provide test instructions. Government offices mail letters. Phone companies offer several plans that look almost identical. We rarely call these things work, but dealing with them feels like a temporary office job. You have to read, find the important points, organize your questions, write an appropriate message, and decide what to do next. In the past, unfamiliar language, a long document, or simply having no knowledgeable person nearby could make these tasks easy to postpone. Now, the AI on your phone can at least help you cross the first step. The important words are first step. It can explain and help you prepare. But fluent language does not give it the expertise of a lawyer, doctor, or financial advisor. The next 4 situations are closer to what ordinary people actually need than asking AI to write another office email. Imagine receiving a letter from an insurance company. It is full of formal language and technical terms. You understand the individual words, but you still cannot tell whether the letter is only informing you or asking you to respond by a certain date. Start by hiding your name, address, policy number, and any other personal details. Keep only the material you need to understand and ask AI to do 3 things. First, explain the letter in plain language. Second, list every date, fee, and required action. Third, identify anything that remains unclear and needs to be confirmed with the insurance company. You do not need an advanced prompt. Say, I received this letter, but I do not know what the sender wants. Explain it simply, list the deadlines and costs, and tell me what I should confirm. Do not guess anything that is not written there. What makes that request useful is not a professional-looking format. It is that you clearly describe the problem. You do not understand the purpose, and you are worried about missing an important action. The same approach can help with school notices, product instructions, repair estimates, government letters, and ordinary medical information. But when a document affects your legal rights, compensation, immigration status, health, or medication, AI should only help you prepare the next step. Keep the original document and confirm important conclusions with the responsible organization or a qualified professional. AI can make a complicated sentence sound wonderfully clear, but an explanation that sounds smooth is not necessarily correct. Many communication problems are not caused by a lack of ideas. The difficulty is putting the facts, the request, and the right tone together. Imagine that you have reported a broken heater to your landlord twice. Each time they said someone would come, but no one has. You need to show that the problem is serious without making the relationship hostile from the first sentence. Give AI the facts. When you first reported the issue, what the room is like now when you need a response, and that you do not want aggressive language, then ask it to organize those points into a short, firm message you can inspect before sending. Try not to say only, make this sound professional. Professional means different things to different people. Purpose and boundaries are more useful. For example, keep these 3 facts. Be direct without being insulting, and make sure the landlord understands that I need a repair time today. AI can also help prepare for customer service, returns, school messages, interviews, and everyday translation. Explain the situation in the language you know best, then ask it to organize the message in another language. Before sending anything, read it yourself. Check the dates, amounts, names, and your actual request. Remove anything AI added that you never provided. AI can reduce the friction of expression, but it should not invent facts or maintain a relationship for you. Ordinary people make complicated choices every day, even if those choices never appear in a work report. Changing a phone plan, buying a used car, comparing insurance, planning a trip, choosing an activity for a child, or accepting a higher-paying job with a longer commute can all involve price, time, risk, and personal preference at once. AI can be helpful here because it separates information that has become tangled together. But you must first provide your real circumstances. Otherwise, it can only offer an answer that sounds reasonable on average and may be wrong for you. Suppose you have 2 real phone plans. Give both plans to AI and ask it to compare the monthly price, contract length, data, roaming, early cancellation cost, and the conditions that matter most to you. Then ask, if I travel abroad only once a year and rarely use all my data, which differences will actually affect me? That is more reliable than asking which phone company is best. AI is comparing the real documents and needs you supplied instead of guessing current prices. If the material does not mention an early cancellation fee, tell it to mark that item as needs confirmation. Do not let it invent a number. The same method works for other comparisons. Start with real information, explain how you will actually use the product or service, and ask AI to identify missing details and the worst-case outcome. If you only ask which is best, it may assume standards that do not exist. A monthly budget, real usage, and unacceptable conditions make the comparison more useful. Many people are willing to learn. The problem is opening a thick set of materials alone and having no idea where to begin or whether they truly understand it. When studying for a driving test, safety certificate, language exam, or job interview, use the official material as the source, ask AI to explain one small section at a time, then test you with questions. For example, explain this page in plain language. Then give me 5 questions, one at a time. After each answer, tell me what I misunderstood. For language practice, ask it to simulate a real situation. You are the customer and it is the clerk. It can act as an interviewer or rehearse a phone appointment with you, correcting only the mistakes that would affect understanding. The value is that feedback arrives immediately and the difficulty can change with your answers. You do not need a complete course before you start. Even 10 minutes is enough for one useful practice session. When helping a child learn, ask AI to explain the reasoning, ask questions, and check the process instead of writing the final answer. The assignment may be completed, but the understanding the child needed to build may never happen. Exam rules, legal requirements, and certificate content still have to be checked against official sources. AI can be a practice partner. It cannot turn itself into the examining authority. After all those useful situations, one point matters even more. Some questions can be entered into AI, but the conclusion should not be handed over to it. The first category is any action that requires contact with the real world. AI can explain how to replace a part, but it cannot see whether the part in front of you is warped or feel the resistance in a wrench. It can give a cooking time, but it cannot smell whether an ingredient has spoiled. It can list caregiving steps, but it cannot observe subtle changes in a person's color or breathing. Experience, touch, and responsibility do not disappear because a complete answer appeared on a screen. The second category includes questions where being wrong is costly and you cannot easily verify the answer yourself. Medical diagnosis, medication changes, legal rights, contracts, investments, and emergency safety should never be followed simply because AI sounds confident. The World Health Organization has warned that large language models can produce health information that sounds highly convincing and is completely wrong. A better use is to ask AI to explain ordinary terms, organize when your symptoms appeared, and prepare questions for a doctor. Diagnosis and treatment still belong with qualified professionals. The third category involves large amounts of personal information. Canada's Privacy Commissioner advises people to limit what they submit to AI chatbots, avoid sensitive or identifying details, and never upload another person's private information or photographs of children. Before asking AI to read a letter, hide names, addresses, phone numbers, account details, identification numbers, and medical numbers. If you can describe the issue as a family member, a company, and an approximate age, do not reveal the real identity. AI cannot protect information you have already chosen to give away. These limits can be reduced to 3 practical questions. Can I verify this answer easily? If the answer is wrong, how serious is the cost? And does AI need sensitive personal information before it can help? If something is easy to verify, low cost when wrong, and requires no private data, experiment freely. If it matters but can still be checked, use AI to organize questions and prepare materials. If the cost of error is high, verification is difficult, or the task requires exposing a lot of private information, AI should do no more than assist with the first step. Back to the opening question. If you barely use a computer at work, do you need to change how you work for AI? Maybe not. You do not need a course, a library of prompts, or a daily AI habit to prove you are not behind. Wait until a real problem appears. The next time you receive a letter you do not understand, hide the private details and ask AI to explain the important points. When you cannot figure out how to answer an important message, give it the facts and the outcome you want. When you face too complicated plans, ask it to compare only the documents you provide and list what is missing. Before an exam or interview, let it practice with you for 10 minutes. If it saves no time and makes nothing clearer, do not force it. An unhelpful tool can remain unused. The value of AI for an ordinary person may never appear in their job title. It is more likely to appear in those moments when they suddenly need to read, explain, compare, or prepare, and no one is available to help. If AI makes one letter easier to understand, one message easier to express, or one practice session easier to begin, it is already useful. Beyond that, there is no need to force yourself to use AI just to prove that you're keeping up.